All right, it's 5 o'clock. We'll begin the meeting. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we're going to open up. It's a public hearing notice. Obviously, we're starting at 5. We will open it up for comments, questions. So the project description, the town has approval of $200,000 from the Land and Water Conservation Fund and has submitted a $200,000 LWCF enhancement application that will match existing public and private financial commitments for the Littleton Riverfront Commons project that includes the purchase of a 7.5 plus or minus acre parcel of land on River Glen Lane, known as the Moreau property. Public improvements will include renovation of an existing barn for the use as a welcome center, rail trail connectivity, green space, parking, and outdoor performance gathering space. The environmental resources analyzed included wetlands and floodplain, though through final design in coordination with the New Hampshire Wetlands Bureau, all impacts will be minimized and mitigated. Work in the floodplain will be minimized and include development with porous surfaces, and no impeding structures will be constructed. There is an existing gravel path in the floodplain. Water quality will be addressed with the best management practices for stormwater mitigation and protection, including a detention pond for stormwater management. This portion of the project is being complete under the existing LWCF award. A review of the New Hampshire Natural Heritage Bureau did not show any rare species or exemplary natural communities in or near the area. The State Historic Preservation Office of the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources was contacted and a file review completed. The proposed NEPA pathway is categorically exempt. So at this point, we would honor or ask for any comments, questions at this point. Anybody?
Contact a lot. I live in Littleton, and I walk the Riverwalk all the time. I love it. I'm so glad that it's happening. I was also here for the charrettes that took place. I guess I'm here to speak about the natural habitat there and resources, and I've just been concerned about not wanting on the side where the music, we play the music, etc. That now I know must have been cleared a lot for Vista, which I understand. I just don't want to see on the upside too many more trees go, or bushes go, and shrubs. There's so much of what we enjoy there. So many of us enjoy it for walking, and I know it's really important, especially with this epidemic, for open air. And I also am a birder. I see lots of birds there. There's, there's many different kinds of trees and bushes to give them places to land, to eat, to be there. And I'm here to speak for the natural habitat that is there. I can understand. I was also part of the charrette. I encourage that we do make some trails. I just don't want to see too much more done to it. And I don't know if I'm making those are just my concerns.
Okay.
And I do walk it a lot. I pick up trash. It's very important to, I can even show you a video from the wonderful Kern Bridge of a set of merganser ducks going up the river. And it's just so important not to, I think it's important to have it for the what was it, for the common space for presentations. but I also don't want to lose what is there. And am I making sense?
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's why I'm here, is to express my support and concerns.
Oh, thank you, Pat. And also thank you for doing your part of cleaning up
Oh,
as you walk too.
Yeah,
That's,
I always do.
thank you.
Really important. And it's really important that we have it there for people, especially with this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are really good at putting on masks, taking them off, being careful about dogs and their waste, but it's really important that we keep some of those bushes, the shrubs, the trees. I just really want to see it all get. I know it's not going to get all like that.
Sure.
To do it carefully, to do it with the idea of the natural area.
Hmm.
No.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? And even after this meeting, if questions do bubble up, or even folks that are watching the on TV or through video, if they're interested in getting more information, or if they have questions or concerns, to contact the town office.
Okay, because I wondered what this Grist Mill Island Park is
What is it?
that's been proposed. What is that?
What is it?
That's
What did you say, Pat?
under river resources and landscaping. There's the upgrade street lights, clean up the riverbank, which enough. You've done, there's enough. I mean, I know it's important for communities and have
Sure.
places where people go down. That was what we brought up at the charrette. But then it says create Grist Mill Island Park. That sounds.
Which is where the bridge
This is
lands.
under the River District Redevelopment.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
so-
part of the project. That might have been a river, from what I understand, that might have been a river district goal. I don't think that's part of this
That's not
project.
part of the project.
Right. Yeah, yeah, this project really focuses on the Moreau parcel, and the, a piece of it is kind of in between the barn and the senior center.
Right.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
at that design charrette, originally, the plan was to have some kind of a structure out there, but they really molded the plan, if you remember, to keep as much open space as possible, and then the space flexible where a performing stage, like happens now, can be brought in and out, and all that sort of thing. So,
Okay, I just didn't know. I
Yeah.
just was kind of looking at all that. Okay.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Very much.
So has it been done soil samples and stuff on that property down there? It's all been approved?
yeah. So what's happened down there? There's been what's called a Section 106 review. It's considered an environmental review, but it includes cultural, historical, archaeology, and environmental review. And so they take a look through and do like a preliminary analysis, and then if there's something that needs to be dug into further, they do that. And we do have all of that information available. I tried to print it out for tonight, but I was having trouble with the printer. But I have it in PDFs too, so that we can upload that stuff up to the website, so people can take a look and see all the documents that we have for that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put it under. There's a section on the website called Projects in Town.
Okay.
There is some information up, and it may be just a map, but we can put it underneath the Riverfront Commons project.
Chad, do you have anything you want to add to it? No? Roger, thank you for your question, input. We can leave this open. We have to have it open for what, a half an hour? See you? All right. We'll leave it open and close it out. It's nothing that we have to vote on tonight anyways.
Yeah, no motions required.
There's
for the
no.
grant. This is public input.
Just for input, okay. So we'll leave it open till 5:30. If it's okay with everybody, could we roll?
Was the Conservation Commission supposed to be here to talk on that? No?
I don't think so, no. I mean, they could at some point if we had more questions, we could invite them, especially if.
No, I just
along-
thought that that was on the, from my understanding, they walked it the other day and they had no concerns. That's all.
Yeah, I don't,
I haven't heard
I
from
don't
them.
think so, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's okay, we will go into our regularly scheduled board meeting, and then we'll close out the hearing at 5:30. Tony is not here right now, and he was first on the, did you want to, was Tony supposed to?
I'm not prepared to do an overview, but I'll do the overview that I know to do it.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough.
You received copies of our new town plan, called Plan Littleton, a vision for a resilient future. The consulting firm we used was Resilient Planning out of, I think out of Plymouth, right? Yeah. We've been working on this for a year and a half. It's been extended somewhat because of the pandemic, and we've lost a number of meetings over a period of time. There's 121 pages here and 14 chapters. There are 72 action items that are at the back of the book under chapter 14, the things that we plan to do as a planning board and including 18 or 19 other organizations or units within town government that will address specific issues. For instance, Water and Light has a couple things that we have, put them responsible for. Clearly, one of our responsibilities going forward will be to be in contact with these other groups to get their feedback and also to get their cooperation, including the Board of Selectmen. It's quite a few, including town manager. There's quite a few. So together, there's quite a few of these, and we need to have this plan in place here because in New Hampshire, towns that receive money from the state need to have periodic 10-year plans. This one covers, or the last one covers the last 15 years. We were a little bit behind times in getting it started. So basically, I'm going to tell you a little story and then I'm going to leave, but I remember back in the late 1970s when I was only here in town for a few years, and the what's the service organization I belong to?
Oh, White Mountain?
Wednesdays.
Oh,
Rotary?
Rotary, yeah.
Rotary Club had come up with a sub-project, and a number of us went out into the community to ask people what their thoughts were in terms of the growth of Littleton. And one of the people I talked to, who is now passed on, but he was one of the workmen here in town, said to me, I don't want anything to change. I don't want to see new businesses come in here. We have enough business. I don't want to see this community grow beyond the 5,600 people that we have here, because that's all we need. I just want things to stay the same. And within 2 years, both shoe factories closed. And we had an unemployment rate, I think, around 11% here in the Littleton area. And of course, then Hitchner's came in at some point. So I always kind of remember that when we go through these plans. These are not exactly easy exercises to go through. They can be quite boring at points. But clearly, we've encapsulated in these 13 chapters the various component parts of living in this town, be it new businesses moving in, be it housing, be it addressing issues for the elderly population, for our school-age population, whatever. This book brings everything up to date. And the graphics have clearly improved over the last 14, 15 years. This is a beautiful document with a lot of great pictures. I think our last one had no pictures. It just had a lot of writing. And I think if Tony was here, he would say to you that we're dedicated to making sure this doesn't just sit on the shelf. That as the days go on now, we'll be addressing each of these groups, days and weeks and months, and beginning to implement the plans that we have. I can't recall offhand, very honestly, anything that's stunningly outstanding here that I would have prepared for had I known I'd be standing here, but it addresses all of the various facets of living in a village community like we have. And in a state where the tax flow is not as defined as it is in other states that have both sales tax and income tax. And I'm not advocating that we do that, but clearly we're at more risk here in a community that relies very heavily just on, primarily on town or resident taxes, real estate taxes, as well as our meals and rooms tax. So our flow here is less than it would be perhaps in other states that have more income, more well-defined income coming in. But we have what we have, and this works. And I think when you read this document, it works. It's got some great pictures and some great writing. We didn't do any of the writing, we didn't do any of the pictures, that's why it's pretty great. We just approved it at the front end and at the back end. It's a good document. So you all have a copy already?
If somebody wanted to get a copy of it, Milt, how would they?
I think you'd call Joanna, right?
Okay.
Call the planning and zoning
Okay.
office.
We have it online as well, correct?
Yep, yeah, it's up on the website.
On the website,
Too,
they could
yeah.
pick up a hard copy. Okay,
Mhm.
good.
Who
Yep.
did do it?
Hmm?
I just wondered who did write it, who did?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the planners wrote it, and we just, we changed wording in here as they gave us, rough drafts. And there's ideas in here from other states, like in the skiing area, or in the ski business, I should say. They brought in some examples from Colorado of things that you can do as a community to attract visitors and attract sports people. So that's basically all I have to say.
Good.
There's some new sections in there too, I think.
I'm sorry?
Some new sections, I think like cultural arts is a section or community
Yeah,
cultural
actually,
arts
it's
and-
expanded in terms of the number of areas, and I think it's pretty much covered all of the major areas that we experience here living in this community. As we all know, we have new businesses here in town in the past 10 years, and they're in here. And what they suggest by being here in terms of the future is also projected in the document, so. That's all I have.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome, thanks.
I've looked through it, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I've looked through it, it's good.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
points.
call us if you have questions, or come to our planning board meetings, if you want to. Thank you.
All right.
I'm on my way home.
Thanks,
My
Milt.
wife will be home by 5:30.
Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to go right into the town manager's report?
Let's see, what do we have next on there? Yes. Okay. A request for a personnel policy amendment having to do with COBRA retirement health insurance. The current policy establishes a process that the town paying directly for the COBRA retirement health insurance. This is for retired employees. The town is then responsible to act as billing and collection agent to the individuals receiving COBRA for health insurance. The recommended amendment would change this process to require the retiree utilizing COBRA to pay directly to the provider, effectively removing the town as the middleman. So we have the change up here. I think it was in your packet, and it's really just to change that process.
So, any comments on that?
And Karen's here, she can answer additional
Yeah.
questions too if you
I
have them.
could
So.
tell you it would save us some time. We'll still have to keep the people that are retired prior to 1/1/2021 doing what they've been doing, but eventually those will drop off. We have about 8 people. And it's something that you have to reconcile, it's something that you have to remind individuals about if they aren't getting their payment right in. You know, it's a process. So I'm trying to eliminate some of those extra pieces that take time and that we can do some other way. And that's my goal this year, or what's left.
Okay.
Karen, how would the process be for the retired employee? Would that be, would the insurance company then bill them directly and they handle it, everything?
They would be billed by the insurance company directly. They would have to sign COBRA forms with the insurance company, not dealing with us. And if they were behind, the insurance company can shut them down. There is a certain number of days that you're allowed. Usually COBRA picks up the after 45 days. COBRA, if you haven't got your paperwork back, you may take a chance of losing insurance. There is certain laws set. And our insurance company does handle mailing out to individuals information that have retired, but this takes us completely out of it. And just the few remaining ones.
Would we incur any liability or other costs or workload from going
Well,
through this?
this would alleviate some of that liability because it's taking it out of our process. And it may help reduce the after employment liability that we have. OPEB, I think you've seen it in the audits, but it might help eliminate some of that process. A lot of towns are getting out of doing anything like this, and I'm hoping that we can too.
Is it time intensive, trying to track down those that maybe don't pay, or?
Not super intensive, but it's one more thing. And it's one more thing that every year the insurance rate changed. Letters have to be sent to the retirees. We have new forms that have to be done for the retirement system in order for them to pay us directly. So it's something that we have to keep track of. And by doing this, the retiree, if they have New Hampshire retirement, will be dealing directly with the retirement and the insurance company without us involved.
So it makes for a more efficient process with less liability and no cost.
Yep.
Sounds good to
So
me.
you're looking for a motion to adopt the amended COBRA? Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion that the board adopt the amended Article 7, Section 8.1A as presented.
And I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good. Thank you.
Next up, another exciting policy. So in reviewing municipal policy to reduce potential impact to taxpayers, I'm requesting an amendment to the health insurance benefits offered to near full-time employees, bringing the policy into minimum cost exposure that aligns with the legal requirements.
Chad has a,
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
interjection.
that was
Oh, yeah.
the motion for this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You did, yeah.
I don't know if I'll just make a new motion or make an amendment to what we already
Yeah.
passed, but to adopt the amended COBRA retirement health insurance policy as presented.
okay. Second? You okay? All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Sorry about that.
So, yeah, in accordance with the law, and our current policy offers health insurance to part-time employees, and however, it offers it at a greater level than required by law, up to a family plan for 34 hours. The amendment would reduce, the offered plan would put a ceiling for any new employee up to a single plan rather than a family plan. This would allow the employee to option into higher plans such as two-person or family, but at their own expense. You know, with the law, once an employee reaches an average of 35 hours a week, then they become eligible for the plan in accordance with the federal law. So this would really, yeah, looking at section 7, or Article 7, Section 8.1A.
So this would put us more in line with the federal law?
Mm-hmm, yeah. And again, just, you know, like Karen said, the effective date, anybody who's already on, they would stay at that current level.
So it's just going forward with new
Yeah.
employees?
Yeah.
So,
Sounds
we
appropriate.
want, do you have a
Yeah,
question,
no, I
Wanda? You all right?
Alright.
So let's,
Now I'll make that motion
All right.
of adopting the amended Article 7, Section 8.1A as presented.
And I'll
okay, second it. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you.
Next up, this is something that we've talked about at the Budget Committee. I think we've briefly talked about it here. So each year, there are many petitioned warrant articles which must be listed individually and placed on the ballot, deliberated and voted, all individually. Many of the annual social service petition requests remain the same in both the amount and the purpose and are always approved by the voters. The board has the option for this year's warrant to notify the social services who have annually petitioned the town to alternatively allow the board to create one single warrant article to include them all. Some considerations would be you could create a caveat that says that the request was approved in the prior year and the requested amount is equal to or less than the prior request. This still allows the voters to retain the ability to discuss any specific agency listed in the single article, and would also retain the ability to make a motion to divide or amend the article to address desired changes for the specific agency. So another consideration is that many of these social service organizations either serve higher risk populations or they have volunteers in those high risk categories. This would lessen their clients, staff, volunteers to exposures from the current health concerns through the petitioning process. So really looking for your direction. I know the Budget Committee for the past several years has been wanting us to try to figure out a way to reduce the number of articles, because voters get a voter fatigue, and this would be one way to do that.
But they can at the deliberative session, if they want to pull a particular one out, they could.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Somebody could ask the moderator, is this motion divisible? And he could then respond yes, and then a motion could be made to divide the motion and pull an agency out and vote on it independently.
Well, probably no different than if, say, at deliberative session, if you wanted to amend it to a $0 figure or something to that effect. I
Mhm.
mean, if the will was there to do something, there are several different ways that you can amend something.
Right.
What if an organization wanted to ask for more money?
What I was kind of saying for consideration is if somebody wanted to ask for more money, then, maybe you would want them to just go out
that would be
and.
up to us, I think.
Yeah.
We would, set the bar
Yeah.
onto what, but, I think if we're going with a caveat that voters approve this on a regular basis and these amounts, I would hate for someone to just, oh, hey, I'll put it in there, but increase me to 100,000 rather than the 15. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think we have to be reasonable and
guidelines there.
yeah, and if people do have an increased need, then, they're gonna have to get a warrant article and prove their case.
Yeah.
Are there any that we would be concerned about, that normally would ask for money?
If it's a good question. I don't know what to say to that, though.
Okay.
Karen has
I have a
something she would say.
suggestion. That when we send a letter to all of the people that normally have petitions, we state in there, if you do not want to be part of the group warrant article, or you're asking for more money than you asked for in 2020, that you must submit a petition warrant article.
Okay.
And that's
All right,
great,
yeah.
give them the option, that way they can make that decision for themselves.
And those that did not get approved last year, 2020,
Still need to.
they need to submit a petition.
Okay,
And if you recall, one of the things about submitting a petition article is also the policy the board has, that they have to submit financial background information for review. So they wouldn't need to do that again, I wouldn't expect.
okay,
It's been reviewed in the past for, I think, all of them, so.
all right. Before we get a motion on that, it is 5:30, so we can close out the public hearing. Is there any other comments,
Do
questions?
you need a motion on that?
We
or-
don't
okay.
need a motion, no, it's just public hearing and just getting public input and questions and stuff, yeah. And Pat, thank you for being here tonight and sharing. So that would end the public hearing, and again, if people do have questions or concerns, want more information, feel free to contact the town office for that. Thank you, Pat. Okay, so now we can go back on to that. So any other questions or comments on the petition warrant articles? Do we want to hear them, or are we ready to give a motion or consider making a motion?
You sure it's gonna lessen the warrant articles?
It should by
Yeah.
about 18, 20.
Approximately
Okay.
20 petition warrant articles.
It's worth, I think,
Yeah.
worth
I mean, 54
trying.
last year or whatever, that's,
It's a lot.
Yeah,
So just in general, we were talking about, same amount or less, same organizations as.
right, same amount of money.
and,
Approved by voters.
approved in, yeah. 2020. And then give them the option to still petition, if they would like to.
If you want to read this
Yeah.
here, but maybe be more specific, I think it pretty much says it all as far as in that motion,
Yeah.
if you're comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
no, I was just thinking about the end though, about giving them the opportunity.
Mhm.
Alright, so, we'll make a motion that the board directs town staff to inform social service organizations who are planning to file a petition warrant article that the board will place their request on the ballot as a combined social service article without the need of an official petition if they meet the following conditions. They had a prior year petition submitted and approved by the voters. The requesting amount is equal to or less than the prior year. And the use of the funds is for the same organizational purpose. And to also note that they do have the option to submit their own
Mhm.
petition warrant article, should they choose, if
Mhm.
they, does
Yep.
that make sense?
Mhm.
Especially if
I'll
they want to
second.
request more money.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
a second?
Yeah, a second.
Okay, so all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Good, thank you.
Let's see, okay. And before we go too much further, I just want to introduce Adam. Adam is our new Opera House manager. If you were at the Budget Committee meeting, he was there to give a little introduction. We went through a process, and we've developed a job description so it can build on the community and cultural arts that Sue really built over the past couple of years. Adam's coming to us with a marketing and business background, also with art event coordination. And so it seems like it's going to be a really good fit. And he's got this business mentality of growing this place like a business to one day be self-sufficient. I don't know if you want to say anything, Adam, or?
Yeah, well, hello everybody. Nice to meet you all. I'm on TV, hello. Hello, Littleton. I'm super excited about taking this role on. Andrew gave me a great intro. I have a background in business, as a business major at St. Mike's in Vermont. Lifelong musician, done some cultural arts in the past, specifically at the Opera House with an event I put on a few years in a row called Music on the Music, which I hope to revive in a different capacity, hopefully. I love the Opera House, I love Littleton, and I really have a lot of passion about developing cultural
Thank you,
Thank
Adam.
you.
Okay, so next, Amanuset.
Yeah, just to give a couple of updates while we're still under town manager report. So Amanuset Street construction, the project is on a holding pattern. We recently completed a pretty extensive 91A request from a law firm, likely in anticipation of some upcoming events. So Cottage Street and Mill Street, which is the New Hampshire TAP project. DBW Director Damco has been working with CMA engineers last week on this project, and it looks like we're moving forward to final engineering. Again, every step of the process has to be approved by the grant agency, which is the DOT, before we can move into the next steps. So the project is being reviewed locally for consideration of a white line or local agreement with New Hampshire Department of Transportation. That's needed when you start to look at working within the right-of-way. And there's some pieces of the project where road narrowing, and we were also looking at parking if it was possible in any locations. The wastewater treatment,
Are we still
Yep.
looking at a 2021 construction season for that?
still the goal.
The funding, I can't remember when that, because that,
So yeah, it's a federal, when the State Department of New Hampshire Transportation gets their federal allocation for projects, they're the ones who will basically, they'll be the advocates to push it forward when they feel like it's ready. I don't remember the cutoff date for that.
but we're still thinking we get it constructed next year. both
That's our,
sidewalks.
that's our goal. I mean, the rail trail was a goal of 2015, so. I don't know if anybody's seen, but if you drive up,
Yes.
yeah, it looks,
Yeah.
it's coming along.
Getting there.
So, yeah. Let's see, wastewater treatment plant, the capital improvement plan. Again, DBW Director Damco has been working with the wastewater treatment operator, which is Utility Partners, on a draft treatment plant CIP. The list will be finalized by Dufresne Group Engineers in 2021 with a preliminary engineering report. Let's see, the Dells Dam. Again, the Public Works Director is reviewing the past Dells Dam engineering data for update to the Conservation Commission, and a discussion on the best route for community outreach. I think there's going to be a partnership between the Conservation Commission and Public Works to try to get some community feedback on that. Dick Alberini of the Littleton Historical Society. I know that he's been, I think he's got a small team, maybe him and another person, and they've been doing historical research on the dam. It's interesting, he was figuring out exactly when the dam was put in based on some old news articles. There was like an unfortunate event that happened there, and that was right around the time when they were thinking it was put in. I think they may, I don't know if they pushed it back a year or two. 1892, yep. So, and they're even exploring, the potential of one of the green historic markers, getting that put out there.
Yeah.
So updates on the Opera House. So the Cottage Street level design, Adam's a part of that. We're lately doing Zoom meetings. We started this project pre-COVID. We had time before then to really take a walkthrough with the architect. This is again a grant-funded project. So the project is nearing final preliminary design, and there will be a public presentation by architect Dennis Myers, and the group I'm sure will be there too. Members of the Littleton cultural arts community. So it's upcoming but not scheduled. I was trying to push for October. That didn't happen, but there's a lot of intricacies. For example, working with the Division of Historic and Cultural Resources about the restrictions of the building. So also updating, I didn't put much in here, lighting and rigging. I'm waiting for an update. I think it's all underway. The funding is there. I think we're just right now coordinating the contractors. And again, Doug Damco really has kind of stepped in to act as a project manager for a lot of these to help Sue with the technicalities and the contracts and that sort of thing. So it's moving right along. So 2019 audit. So Karen is continuing to work with the CPA firm to prepare documents for the 2019 audit. These preparations should be completed within the week. I think she's going to have all the files to the CPA firm. And I don't know if you want to give any other additional information.
Well, I know there was a question on when the tax bills might be sent out. I just went back the last 2 years, November 20th. And last year, the 535, which is needed for doing the tax bills, was completed by November 15th. And the selectmen had set the tax rate around the 22nd of November. It just had to be approved by DRA. So just to give you a time frame, that it is right around the end of November is when things usually are pulled all together.
So on the 2019 audit, then Karen, if they're just about done, you think within the next week, we should have the final report?
No, I don't think the final report will be until like the end of November. It's the 535 that
Okay.
they do for the tax rate.
Okay,
And I believe that will be probably the first of next week.
okay. All right, good, thank you.
I can't guarantee you. It's out of my control because another company's doing it.
So then, key staffing updates. I'll share what I can publicly, but I think I've given you guys some information. So with each of these critical positions, current or coming vacancies, a review of job description changes were enacted with the goal of better equipping the organization for changed, and I didn't say changing because a lot of stuff's already changed and we're trying to keep up with the changed demands of upcoming needs, while moving in a direction that will save the taxpayers money in the long term. So as you know, Karen's announced her retirement as of December 31st of this year. So last week we conducted final interviews with 2 candidates. Both were highly qualified. Either one could do the job. And I won't say anything else because nothing's final at this point. Also, the fire chief position. So last week we conducted final interviews for that. And again, the candidates that were finalists, I think that any one of them could do the job, and we'll have more updates on that shortly. So highway mechanic. So we've begun the onboarding process for a new highway mechanic. They're a higher level technical with an anticipated start date of November 16th. So as discussed prior, this person will be coming to us with a higher level of technical expertise in heavy diesel and fleet management. Through the recommendations of Selectman Emerson, the position will move our operating into a more holistic approach, leading to fleet management. While the position will have a higher pay than the prior, this move will likely prove to save the taxpayers long into the future. Thanks for the input on that one.
Thank you, Roger, for your input in that.
Yeah.
Glad to go.
I'm actually, surprised we got somebody with all of the requirements.
He's qualified.
So very qualified.
That's good.
Next up, I'll just give you guys this is a very rough list, very soft list of warrant articles. We haven't had a chance to vet them internally and go through and actually price them all out. And we always have the election of officers, the operating budget, transfer station improvements. There's a new one, the parking lot improvements, the public works, equipment and vehicle lease purchase. This goes along with the plans that we've started establishing for long-range purchases. AFSCME amendments. These are union amendments that will make permanent some of the changes that we did in order to get the mechanics position the way we needed it to. We have an article right now in draft, discontinue the parking meter special revenue fund, and then to pass a parking meter special revenue fund operating budget. If the first one passes, then the second one is no longer needed, correct, Karen?
There's 3 warrant articles that have to be done.
Yep.
One is to discontinue the way it's been done. And the second opens up or establishes a revolving fund. And then the third is the budget for the revolving fund.
Okay, so I have them out of order. We would want to do the revolving fund and then the one that I have second in your report. Next up, we have the Opera House Special Revenue Fund, which is the operating budget. Unexpected Conservation Commission funds. Unexpended part-time and full-time police funds. Police Department Vehicles and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Fire EMS Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, Public Works Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. And these are all ones that, you know, where we've been showing how, you know, as time goes by and debt is relieved, we would start funding with those with, you know, a higher amount of money. But this year is really just putting in some seed money. We were looking at putting $1,000 in each just to get the funds moving. Let's see. And then we've got the infrastructure improvements to roads, streets, sidewalk, and sewer. This is one where we normally put, you know, about $500,000 in for the road plan. And so we don't have the list of roads that are being recommended and where they're at yet. I think there's a rough draft, but I don't have those ready for you. And then there's also fire department equipment and vehicle lease. We again haven't finalized that yet. Right now, there's been, there's been a draft that's thrown out there that shows these two different pieces of equipment, and we're going to be meeting and discussing on that in the future. And then one that I haven't put on here that I have to remember to do is RSA 79E, which is it's a economic development tool that gives the select board the ability to attract developers to, say, a site like Hitchner. And that one, we can talk about it at a future time, but it basically allows you to get a commitment out of a developer to invest so much money in exchange for them getting some sort of a tax rate freeze and then easing into their new tax rate after the new structures are created. So that'll be something to talk about at a future meeting. So that's what I have for
So at the budget meeting last week, I think that we looked at the trust funds, and there were 3 that were recommended to be closed.
Yeah,
Knew
the
that
budget
capital-
meeting, I handed those out.
Yeah.
What there was for trust funds.
Right, and there were 3 I remember recommended.
Yes, it was a salt shed, might have $13 or
Right.
less than it. They were all very
Yeah.
small amounts.
Can we do that all with one warrant article, or do we need one warrant article to close each one?
I believe you
question.
can do it with one more article, but I'll
that'd
have
be
to
good.
check with Jamie Dow.
Yeah,
But,
that would be preferable.
we've done it before with one more
Oh,
article.
good.
And do you
Thank
know,
you.
Karen, from your experience, has the contributions to capital reserve funds, for example, the equipment capital reserve funds for police and fire and public works, can those be done under one warrant article?
I am not sure on that, putting money in. We can ask. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Then
and
it saves a couple more articles.
It could be I would think that we could be really descriptive inside of the warrant article and specify
Right.
where it's going. And again, I think a article like that, we'd have to check with Gerald, but I think it's divisible so that if someone wanted to say, you know, they didn't want a specific,
Pulled one out,
Yeah.
yeah.
so.
I'll double check on that.
That'd be
Yeah.
great, thank you.
Super. So I guess we're under old business
Yep.
now, the transfer station.
So at the previous Board of Selectmen meeting, the updated 2021 vehicle replacement plan was presented to the board, and that was for the public works. We gave copies of them for the rest of them. So tonight we're taking a look at the updated vehicle and equipment replacement plan for the transfer station. And Brian, I think, has a motion later that would actually help alleviate some of next year's purchases. So, but this year, for 2021, the proposal is an OCC baler. What does OCC stand for?
Old corrugated cardboard.
Okay. Also for next year is an oil filter crusher. For next year also we have an open top container number 2 and an extra can. And we're not talking about a trash can. I don't know if you want to describe that, and I'll just read the other one we have on here is a wood chipper, which is actually
We decided against the wood chipper
Mhm.
analysis. We're gonna try hiring it out, subcontracting the wood chipping. So,
yeah.
Just make a pile and have it come in and ship.
yeah, probably twice a year, just have somebody come in. Instead of spending $40,000,
That way the knives are theirs, right?
Yeah.
Timed,
Yeah, so the extra can, a lot of it depends on pretty much what we need at that time. Either we pre-pressure can, or instead we can. The nice thing is with those two pieces of equipment is the cans are interchanged. So that can actually go to either one. So.
Price-wise on those, are they, price-wise on those cans, are they,
They're pretty consistent. A lot of it depends on the transportation. So usually the can, like I put in 8,500. That's about what they've been in the past 10 years. But once again, they can transport 2 at a time. So what other local transfer stations try to do is say, you want a can, we want a can, let's buy it together and cut down the transportation costs. So,
I just wasn't sure price-wise on what they were.
yeah, about 8,500 usually with transportation. So that's what our last one cost.
So if you see, it looks like 2021 on the plan is a pretty significant year, $242,500. Now, Brian just introduced one change, and there's also another request to use the transfer station reserve fund under new business, which would take off another $60,000 purchase. So
Cardboard bearer. So that would actually put it down to about 132,500, with about 110,000 of that for the truck scale.
Yeah.
And my plan is also, so the truck scale would be a warrant article. Other 3 things I'm hoping to do from our reserve fund.
you're waiting towards the end of the year to see if there's money available?
Exactly.
Yep, okay. So that would go from $242,500 for purchases requested, it'll end up on a warrant article, to $110,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, you have enough land to store all the burnables you would have to be able to, for half a year's worth?
So once, I believe that's going to be another warrant article, is to get out back, leveled off, and ready. And then that area out back will be the brush pile and then the grass pile.
Okay.
So
I'm
we
just
should
thinking
have
what we,
enough room.
yeah, I was just thinking of where we did construction.
Yeah. Once we kind of, brush is very strange with us, where there's some years we get tons and tons of it, other years we hardly get any. So a lot of it kind of depends on how quickly the pile. I'm hoping like next year, of course we have to wait until that area gets leveled off, we'll have to burn until then anyways. Yeah, then, it could be once a year we somebody come and chip it, twice a year.
We do pallets as well?
So.
I know typically you try to recycle them.
Yes,
Like
it is, but most of the time.
Adding to the motion that when you accept it,
Yeah,
with the
or
understanding that as much as possible is purchased this year out of the fund.
pallets, but yeah, the really bad ones, you just did for that. So.
And
The other thing I'm hoping for is depending on the end use. So if it's actually going to be burned, you can't put clean C and D, like this, like that. But I know a lot of truck drivers now actually have magnets on them. So if it's actually being sent to being reused as wood chips, then you could actually put clean wood with it. Well, now we can't burn it. So hopefully get a little bit more out of the landfill.
Mm-hmm. And these would all be paid for out of the reserve fund, like we voted town meeting, or would they be separate?
So the for next year, once again, I'm hoping OCCB on the carpool together. That can come out of the reserve fund. The 3 smaller items can come out of the reserve fund. The only one that could not would be the truck scale, just because it's like
Yeah.
$110,000.
Yeah.
So that would be like whatever the town decided on, these are 3-year loan or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the truck scale, the benefit of that is it's got a benefit of time for staff, also more accurate tickets
Yes.
for material going out and coming in.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So like, I mean, any of you guys that use our facility, a lot of it is guesstimated on bigger loads and stuff like that. So we're pretty accurate. But I know you don't really know the weight. You know, if you're charging by the cubic yard, you can get a charge for weight. So this is to actually make sure it's bigger. And in doing so, we're hoping to actually lower some of the bulky items in doing so. And then of course later on, you know, like we charge for brush, you know, and then instead of doing it by a truckload or a carload or whatever, we can actually do it by weight also.
Scale will open your eyes a little bit.
Yes, it will. Yeah, it'll make it more fair.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and that's what it's all about. Is I know some loads come in and we charge too much, and other loads come in and don't charge enough. You know, so it's,
So where would that go?
out front where the recyclables is, you know where we park.
Yep.
It would kind of go there at an angle. It would be a scale. It would be level to the ground, concrete. We'd have to move a couple things.
Very accessible all right there.
Yeah, very accessible. No matter where you put it, which we're limited on where we can put it, the people that waste stuff are going to have to drive around all the time. But that's not a big deal. It's out of the way so that hopefully once we get it, people are trained and regulars know where to go. You know, it's pretty easily accessible for power.
Snow
We'll
removal.
have a printer right in the office. It's, yeah.
Mhm.
So we could, any other discussion as far as the proposal? We
Yeah,
could,
it's just I think those guys are doing a wonderful job. And,
yeah. So we could consider making a motion that we, as a board, adopt the 2021
All
plan?
right, I will make a motion that the select board adopts the 2021 transfer station equipment and vehicle replacement plan.
and I'll
Okay.
second
All right, all in favor, say aye.
it.
Aye.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Then I guess under new business,
Yep, so Brian's still up. So if you look in your packet, page 9, so this this is taking a look at purchasing the baler that you just took a look at on the sheet, utilizing funds from the reserve fund, as well as, I think it's a trade-in value on that, estimated at,
So I'm hoping to trade in the one we're replacing, and then also have the vertical baler, which we never use. So I'm hoping to trade that in at the same time. Hoping between the two of them to get around 25,000. So a lot of it depends. I know in the past when we bought balers, a lot of it depends on if they have a place they can sell it to right away, or if they actually have to go back and go onto a bill. So,
and this baler increases the amount of volume that you can put through it. It also is faster.
yes,
Yeah.
we're hoping to get, the one we have now is, since 2008, I believe. starting to see age, I'm starting to slow down, and stuff. But yeah, what I'm looking for a new one is something, which a lot of the newer ones are a 2-speed, so it has a high speed until it gets to a certain pressure, and then once it hits that pressure, it slows down and compacts when it needs to be. That'll save quite a bit of time.
Got a 2-stage pump on it.
Exactly, yes. The other thing is where we spend a lot of time is actually once the bale buzzes off, saying the bale is done. The one we have now is still too short. We spend a lot of time filling up the hopper, getting it off, running it by hand, filling it again, running it by hand, tying it off. We're hoping to get one that when it says the bale is done, it's done. We don't have to mess around with it. We spend, by my estimate, depending on the bale, depending on the day, anywhere between 15 to 25% of the time actually finishing that bale off. So we're hoping to cut down on that labor cost. Especially on a Saturday where we have the 2 big cardboard boxes, and by the time you get one empty, the other one's full, and when you're trying to tie the bale off, that's when we get behind.
Get behind.
Yes.
And the numbers were really fascinating. That 16, this thing is, your old one has been through 16 million cycles,
Yes.
and it's done 10.5 million pounds of material put through it.
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
It's still a good bale, it's just it's wearing down, unfortunately.
Any other towns that are watching, this is a great baler.
Yes.
Barely used.
It's definitely one we'll look at the same time,
Yeah.
Definitely the price for that, like the,
One owner.
One order.
yes, exactly. But it is starting to see, we did put in $5,000–6,000 last year on rebuilding parts of it. We just replaced a pressure switch, which was $1,400. It's still the piston, the major piston in it. There's a lot of play in it. We just had to replace 2 bolts that broke off because the piston was moving so much. It's broke some welds. It was just a matter of time before it is a major breakdown. And its repair time isn't really, repair cost isn't really the big issue with us, where repair costs would be $4,000 or $5,000. It's the fact that all that downtime, we have to use other balers, so then we get so far behind, we have to do overtime. It's all that factor. That's the more expensive part.
So what does the vertical baler do? You said it doesn't get used that often.
We've used it off and on since I've been there. When they bought it back after the fire, we've used it for aluminum foil, we've used it for plastic bags, we've used it for old aluminum.
But not enough really
We
to justify
never
the space
use
it takes up. And
We could use the space more than what we could use that.
what's the balance of the reserve fund right now for the transfer station?
85,000.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good.
So this 60,000 will take a good chunk of that away, but then of course we're anticipating putting more revenues in there
Yeah,
between
this
now
year
and the end of the
we're
year.
hoping to put quite a bit back into it.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And next year you look at, it's again like what I'll be asking for, from that fund, we're not going to be taking out quite a bit. So then that'll help
Build it
build
back
up
up.
the following year.
Good vehicle,
And it's been a good year for investment. So,
Yeah. You notice it slacking off at all now with the colder weather?
No, we had a 2 or 3 week period at the end of August to the beginning of September, where we went back to like the normal quantity. But then it went right back up again, and it's been crazy ever since. We're looking at probably 30 or 40% more quantity going to the landfill this year. just because of all the C and D. That's a big part. MSW is going back a little bit, but that's still higher than normal. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
Do we,
Ready for a motion?
yes, I believe so, unless there's
Yes.
further, okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to authorize the purchase of a cardboard baler with funds to come from trade-in and transfer station reserve fund.
Okay,
No second?
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is Brian again. So if you look in your packet about page 8, Brian is requesting permission to sell the 1997 International 4900 DT466E dump truck. The truck has about 110,000 miles on it, a little over that, and will not pass inspection due to the condition of the frame. U-bolts have broken off, and it's probably got a few more issues than that, and Brian can take it from there.
Yeah, we actually haven't been able to use it for about all year, broken down. They said you can't impact it because of the frame. After that, we were using it for around a yard, but then the U-bolts broke off. So we changed things so we didn't need it at that time. Then all of a sudden, a month and a half ago, we started getting interest for some reason. People seeing the dump truck that was out of the metal pile off to the side. And they've come to me, one person has looked at the dump body, they want to use the dump body, one person was the transmission or engine. So we can't use it, so there's not much resale value in it, but if someone can use it.
What have you determined, Brian, the value to be? If you,
To me, it's scrap value, which
2
is.
cents a pound.
Yeah, exactly.
well, I'm
Yeah.
just, the reason why I say it is because the Board of Selectmen can approve, if it's $10,000 or more, we can approve the disposal. If it's less than that, the town manager and you can take care of that. So I'm just thinking,
See, how I read it, because it's a vehicle.
no, it's, yeah. Or a vehicle will be disposed of.
Or a vehicle, yeah.
Any property which is considered to be surplus and valued at over $10,000 or is a vehicle will be disposed of by the Board of Selectmen, but over 10,000. Then we could do it by sealed bid or trade or whatever. But any surplus item with a value less than $10,000 may be disposed of by the town manager and department head as they deem appropriate. So I
We
would
can do it.
say
Sounds like, yeah.
you wouldn't really need, unless you guys, you okay with
Is
that?
that a feeder body on the back, or is it not? Just a straight front?
Do you have, is your, not that you're using it now, but you have something new to be able to take the place of what that was doing when it was in service?
We may be getting one of the dump trucks
From
from
the highway
the highway department.
hand-me-down,
Yeah.
Okay, but so you guys will have sufficient equipment to be able to do what you need?
Yeah, I mean, before we were using it more or less to get fuel, which, when it broke down, I started using my own vehicle to get the diesel. We used to go to do tender and whatever they're called now, and Genfoot to get their material. We aren't doing that now. We could possibly go back to that, but with how busy it's been,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to really until it starts going back to normal. The other thing is, before we were using it to move glass. That's where a lot of the big time saving was. So like right now, we scoop it up in a bobcat, dump it into the loader bucket, and then bring the loader bucket out back. You could get 2.5 bobcat buckets into the
So you got an idea of what you're gonna put on it for a price?
Honestly, I have no idea. I may do a seal bid or whatever, maybe I can discuss about it. I have no idea. And having multiple people looking at it.
thinking
The
it's
other
under
thing we can do is
10,000.
easily,
Oh, yeah.
see what people want, what.
You guys handle.
Yeah, we got it.
I know there's at least 3 people interested,
Yeah.
and
You know, the dump body and the hydraulics, and if it's got good rubber on it, and you start looking at that stuff.
exactly,
You know, if you put it out for bids, you really should put a minimum,
Yeah,
a
Yeah.
reserve on it of $2,500.
Yeah.
because at the same time, you don't wanna be piecing it out and having to deal with all that.
No, that's what I'm saying, yeah, you don't
Exactly,
wanna piece it out, but,
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because it is not roadworthy, you know,
Right.
it's gonna be a little bit less just because someone has to
Come get
tow
it.
it away. You know, yeah, that's something Andrew and I can discuss and even have one of the highway department guys come down, which knows a little bit more about the valley than I do. Because as I said, to me, it's a couple $100 if that.
grab one of those down there and offer a twofer.
So we probably should still create a motion, or have a motion that we give Andrew and Brian authority
I'll make a motion that
to, okay,
we give them authority to dispose of it.
okay,
I'll second it.
all right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, good, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
So next up is a request to change Hidden Hill Road to Hidden Oasis. So if you look in your packet, from pages 12 through 16, you can see the request and information that was submitted by Joanna from the planning office.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh boy, you're doing that tonight? Oh.
So that's Railroad Street.
Okay.
Yep.
It's gotta get careful in because that's in town line, so Carol, concrete can be. Right.
I'll just read you that email just while you're checking it out. So, this is from Megan Corrette. She's saying that her and her husband, Timothy Corrette, just purchased the private road that was going to be Hidden Hill Road off of Railroad Street, and were given notice that they could pick a new name for the road. They had considered several names and then came back with the preferred name of Hidden Oasis, and they say that would be great. So
They purchased the road and all all the properties that are accessed off the road, correct?
yeah, and I think there's something going to happen out there. Is that correct?
Future development, looks like it's,
Certainly partially out that way.
yeah.
Isn't that the one with
and
S&P Builders?
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we have, I see it's like Hidden Oasis. Do we have to call it Hidden Oasis Road though? Or do we need a title at the end?
Road versus street.
Or Oasis in general?
Right. Like, should it be Hidden Oasis or Hidden Oasis Road?
Well, it was Hidden Hill Road,
Right.
so if we call it Hidden
Hidden Oasis
Oasis
Road.
Road,
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I think we
I
still
would
need
s-
to
I
Because
think that's
they-
probably the
all their
intent.
choices,
have
yeah,
roads in them.
did have roads in
Yeah.
them.
I would,
So-
I would assume for 911 purposes, we need to have like
Right.
a road, street, avenue.
Yep. And in fact, if you look at all the other requests they submitted,
We
they put
said
road
road.
after.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Make a motion
their
if there's,
property and everything, so. I'll make a motion to rename Hidden Hill Road to Hidden Oasis Road.
okay,
And I'll second.
all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Next up is the Eaton parcel. So Carrie helped me with this one. I really didn't know what direction to go in as far as trying to figure out what its value is. So Carrie suggested a
Broker's price opinion?
broker's
Yeah.
price opinion, and gave me a few names to reach out to. We had somebody respond, and it's actually a free service, which if you look at the report you got, it's pretty amazing that we get that for free. I think the hope is that,
Get the listing.
yeah, they get the listing.
Yeah.
So really, I'm looking for guidance on, for direction on obtaining the community desire for the future of the 103-acre Eaton parcel. At the budget committee meeting last week, it was suggested that a study committee could be created to explore the parcel and make a recommendation to the board for a future warrant article. So I believe I included it in the town manager report, the buyer's price opinion, or broker's price opinion. Just some basics about the lot. It's mapping lot 6828. Suggested listing price is $295,000. It's 103 acres. It has road frontage on Hill Street, Richmond Street, Sampson Road, and potentially Timber Lane through Pest House. And there's other potential locations where you could access it, but you'd have to look at getting rights of way through other people's property.
What's the road that Danny Yetman lived on that goes out to?
That was off of Sampson Road, wasn't it?
It's off of Simpson, but it's another McBean Circle.
That's it, yeah.
McBean Circle.
Isn't
Yeah.
there access off that road? No?
Here's the property.
Where is that one?
Here's Sampson's right here.
That's,
Okay. So
Here,
there's another
or-
piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe it's up higher.
Yeah, I think it-
Up on Sampson.
Richmond
Yeah.
Street. Hill Street,
yeah, because it'd be a little bit past Richmond Street on the left.
Okay.
I don't think there was access there, though.
I think the idea of a committee was that, there's still some people in the community who say, this could be used for school, or why isn't it used for school, or, are there other uses, are there, creative ways to partner with a developer? Does the community want to conserve it? So, just looking for direction and how you guys would like.
What I'm
to
looking
proceed.
at, and it's just me, but with property selling like it's selling, I've walked that piece of property, and there's views of Cannon Mountain, Lafayette, from a lot of it. So to be broke into lots and built on and sold with tax revenue that would come out of that parcel of land would be pretty decent for the town.
Yeah, and I think if someone put a condo village up there or something like that, like they have at Maplewood, I think that
Talk
would.
about a view tax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's just a lot of increase to the tax
It's
base.
just,
Yeah.
it's a nice area, and
And I think that,
backed up to the woods.
I mean, my worry would be that someone would buy it and then put it in current use.
right.
You know what I mean? And then, granted, not everybody has 300,000 to just throw around, but if someone wanted to buy it for an investment or logging, and then it kind of gets rid of what our intentions are.
I don't think there's timber there, though.
It's been logged.
Yeah.
It was
Been
log
cut
cover when they
pretty
bought
hard.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, so I have talked with developers, I just had mentioned a little bit at the budget committee meeting. There are some pretty creative things you can do to keep away from exactly what you're talking about, from getting it to just sit there. One of the companies that I spoke with, they're fairly advanced in the techniques that they use, and they talked about you can develop some sort of a contract between a developer, a preferred developer, and the town could actually hold the entire parcel, have a number of requirements that they want to see come out of it, and then as the property have a subdivision go on paper, the developer starts doing that, gets the paper roads put down, all of the needs, and then the town holds ownership until they start selling the lots. Then you release them to them one at a time. So there's different scenarios that could be done. And I don't know if probably working with a professional realtor who understands those sorts of things, and having them probably assist through getting some kind of a plan and agreement in place. I don't know how do you put it out to bid? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I worry that I think that could put a lot on your plate.
mhm. Yeah, if we could
And I
get
don't
to a
know,
realtor.
every time we're gonna sell
Yeah.
a piece of this, then we're gonna have to do an RSA 4114A every single time we wanna do one of those. I worry a lot about that.
Yeah. I think somehow being able to get it out to the market, and then someone gets the whole thing, but then there's some kind of an agreement. They bought the whole thing, but maybe, and we'd have to explore if there's a way to make it so we don't have to hit 40. We do 4114A once, and then
Right.
there's a contract in place that allows some kind of creativity.
So essentially, they have no holding cost until they sell a lot.
Right.
Is essentially what happens.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm assuming if as big as it is, what we're envisioning, you're talking about putting, expensive utilities up there as well.
So I think that's why that warrant article that I was talking about for RSA 79E, yeah,
Right.
it really would allow the owner of the lot to pay taxes in a way that exists now, and maybe every year they're applying for 79E, so that the houses or development that are put on there, the taxpayers are slowly getting more and more of benefit of that.
And I would assume they would still need to, put in sewer and water.
Yep.
If someone wants a house at the end of the road, you gotta put all of that in.
Mm-hmm.
Infrastructure needs to be in place.
Right.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot. And we do have sewer infrastructure out there. We would have to work with an engineer to figure out. Doug might be able to figure it out where's the best to get it, so it's all gravity fed, no pumps and all that.
So it's been appraised at $295,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically, it's really a good piece of land that you could access off Richmond and come back onto Hill
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of lots.
Yep. Even Timber Lane.
Yeah, Timberland,
Yeah.
I think Timber Lane.
You have to go through Pest House. to get to
That
it.
property that we own, that's
Yeah.
a separate parcel that
Yeah.
we'd have to work with something.
There's some
on.
wetlands on it though, but
Or through to Sampson, right?
yep.
Mhm.
Right.
There's a lot of potential there.
I mean, at town meeting is when we bought this, right?
Yep.
I mean, half of me wonders if we should put it to the voters, if the voters voted out. I know they gave us permission. I wonder if we should see what the voters want to do. Sell it, hold on to it.
We've been holding on to it for how long now?
10
Not getting
10
a bit
years.
of taxes out of it?
Yeah.
Many?
I think it's over 10.
No,
20
More than
20
that.
something.
something?
I've never voted on it, I've been voting since 2002.
Yeah. I voted
Okay.
on it.
20 years ish.
I think I was working at Bud's Auto at the time.
I was gonna say mid to early 90s,
Yeah, it was
92,
a long ways
94.
back, but,
If you want to direct me to do something, I could come back with some kind of options, or
Well, have the taxpayers given us permission to do something with it?
Well, they've given us permission to sell and buy land through RSA 4114A.
Okay.
So, I'm not necessarily, I'm the one that was, I think my first meeting, I was pressing, let's do something.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
Miss the
mean?
That's
window
right.
if the window's open
Right.
right now.
Right.
And it's appears to be.
Yeah.
Real
So,
estate's hot.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But with everything that's happening in the political world right now, will it stay that way? We don't know.
I think with COVID it will.
You think it will? Okay.
You guys, what do you think? Just,
Make a motion to, and
I mean, you can't put it out there on the market with a stipulation that it can't go in current use. That's,
yeah, if we sell something, does it have to be doesn't have to be a bid, like when we take something from, like when we have tax sales?
No, you
Right.
can choose what method you want to do, and I think you can put stipulations on it. You could even, put requirements on the property itself. I think that really this requires bringing in an expert
Yeah.
and having them sit down with
What
you guys
what are you
and really.
thinking, what would you like to see for a motion?
I don't know. Do you want to direct me to?
I guess I don't want to spend $100,000
No.
to $300,000.
Right.
No. Yeah, but you also don't want to miss out on an opportunity to get it into production. So Maybe, I wonder, almost because this could be potentially entering into a contract, maybe we could have a non-public, just a discussion with somebody who specializes in that sort of thing at a next meeting,
Sure.
you think?
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us some guidance on what
Yep.
great direction to go.
Okay.
Best interest of the taxpayers. And it sounds like from what we paid for it to what we can get out of it, it's gonna offset what we'd have gotten taxes for the last 20 years because of the values.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, not if somebody would have bought it right back then and built on it, then it would have been a whole different ballgame if they
But
developed it back then.
that wasn't the market back then.
Right.
Yeah. So should we do a formal motion then?
We're just tabling it, right? Just giving Andrew direct to come back to us with a,
Okay,
We
with a
don't need a
professional.
motion.
So I don't think we need a motion.
all right,
Yeah.
good.
So, yeah, my goal would be to try to get somebody for a non-public, maybe next meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you. And just got a couple things left.
Yeah.
So do you want to do the Board of Assessors, or we've already talked about the MS1, the MS,
Yeah,
535,
535, yeah.
yeah.
And I've, there's nobody here, but if the camera wants to show, the summary evaluation is up there, and I can provide them with the slides so they can put them up and people can see it, so.
Okay. So then,
And open the Board of Assessors meeting?
yes, yeah. Do we have to close out our regular board meeting?
What's going on
Oh,
here?
so
The Board of Assessors? Do we have to close out the regular board meeting?
No, because it's just said we're entering the Board of Assessors. It's all
Okay.
part of the same meeting.
All right. Okay, so it looks like there's an abatement request by Jason M. and Melanie L. Savage, Gannon Road, tax map 73-77, 2020 tax year assessment, $48,600. It is recommended that a LUCT abatement in the amount of $2,530 be granted. And then the brief description, should I read that publicly? Probably, huh? The brief description is that the subject property is a vacant 7.37 acre parcel, and a budding parcel which was current use was sold, causing this lot to be ineligible for current use assessment. A land use change tax, which is the LUCT, was issued based on market value using sales. The applicant did not agree with the LUCT amount, as it was their opinion that it did not take into account factors affecting the saleability of this lot. The lot is in fact for sale, and the most recent offer received was $34,500. Taking into account this offer and the most recent revised assessment, it is the opinion of the KRT appraisal that a reduction in the amount of the LUCT is appropriate, and it is the appraiser's opinion that the LUCT should be reduced by $2,530 from $7,390 to $4,860.
It's the
So,
appraisers, it's our KRT's opinion that we should do that.
correct. So it would be, the abatement would be in the amount of $2,530. So the original assessment was $48,600, but he's saying with the most recent assessment, really it comes in more around like $34,500.
And that makes the difference.
Correct. Yeah. So
How big a lot is that?
it's 7.37 acres off of, or on Gannon Road.
Yeah, I think that's feasible,
Yeah, I mean,
especially we've been advised to.
yep, I'll make a motion, to grant the LUCT abatement in the amount of $2,530 for Jason and Melanie Savage, Gannon Road, tax map 7377, 2020 tax year. Oh, no, excuse me. Well,
Well, tax year assessment was 48,600, but it proved out to be less than that.
And I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, good, thank you. So we don't have anybody here for public comment, so I would say, are we
I have a
going?
couple of items.
We are going into non-public, so we can end the regular,
And the Board of Assessors and the regular meeting.
and the regular meeting, and
Which non-public would you like to go under?
are we doing the first one?
Let's see. Yeah, we can do, the C would work, I think.
C would work, okay, so we'll go into non-public based on RSA 91-A3 to C.
Make that motion, Chad Stearns.
I'll second it, Roger Anderson.
Okay, and all, Carrie Gendro? All in
Good.
favor?
Right.
All right.
Good.
Good. Thanks, Chad.